Hello everyone, especially all of my fellow Longsword users. Today we are going to go over the new best Longsword builds that are obtainable thanks to Title Update 2. I will also be going over the two new set bonuses and providing multiple builds depending on your preferred playstyle, so this video should have something for everyone. But before we get into the builds, we have to go over the new set bonuses that we have been provided so that you can understand how the builds even work and why I have built them the way that I have. So starting off, we have the Seregios Set Bonus, which is my favorite of the two new set bonuses, and is all about Adrenaline Rush. The great thing about this set bonus is that it extends the duration of Adrenaline Rush from 30 seconds to 45 seconds at level 1, which is very significant. In addition to that, it also allows you to trigger Adrenaline Rush again while it is already active, which will extend the duration by an additional 15 seconds, which is also nice. However, the level 2 benefit of this set bonus is where things start to be not as great. At level 2 you will get a 5% damage increase, similar to Lord Soul, but it only activates when you double activate Adrenaline Rush, and only lasts until Adrenaline Rush runs out. This is actually pretty bad because it's very conditional and locks you into using 4 pieces of Seregios gear, which will put you down a path of having bad affinity as well. For this reason, I don't recommend using the 4-piece bonus. It's just more efficient to use the 2-piece and then pair it alongside something like Black Eclipse, which will fix the aforementioned affinity issues, or even Lord Soul, which will give you that 5% damage increase with a lot more consistency and give you some latent power as well. As for the lagiacrus set bonus, its description is a bit more vague and the skill itself is a bit more complicated. So what does it actually do? To put it simply, once you equip the skill and attack something a few times, you will get an interesting little burst of damage along with the notification informing you that the skill has activated. Once the skill is activated, you will get a 15% affinity increase for 20 seconds if you're using Azure Bolt 1. Or, if you're using Azure Bolt 2, it will last 30 seconds instead. And if it ended there, this would honestly be a pretty good sub bonus. However, and of course there is a however, there is a dark side to this sub bonus that is not immediately apparent. Put simply, it is the horrendous forced 30-second cooldown in between when the skill wears off and when you are allowed to activate it again. The fact that this cooldown exists makes the overall uptime of the skill significantly lower, which means it can't compete with Gore's 2-set bonus, which is what this has to do in order to be meta. Honestly though, even if this cooldown didn't exist at all, I think it would still have a tough time competing with Gore, but at least then it wouldn't feel like it's dead in the water. I hope they completely remove this cooldown at some point in the future, but until then I don't really recommend using this set bonus at all if you're trying to be efficient. Moving on to the actual builds then, first up is going to be a Seregios Gore hybrid, and the build I recommend most people use. To make it, you're going to need the lagiacrus head, Seregios chest and arms, along with the Gore waist and legs, as well as the counterattack charm 3. As for the decorations, it's going to be 3 sheath jewels, 3 counter jewels, 2 challenger jewels, 2 sane jewels, and 1 chain jewel. So this is going to be your theoretical maximum damage build for Title Update 2, and it has pretty much every skill you could possibly want. However, it is worth noting that because this set has both Adrenaline Rush and Agitator, that this set requires a very aggressive playstyle in order to play efficiently, so just keep that in mind. As for the second build, we have a Seregios Rey hybrid build which focuses on latent power. It's a great build, but is only really ideal for those longer hunts. To make it, you're going to need the Arc-Tempered Rey head, chest, and waist, along with the Seregios arms and legs, as well as the Counter Charm 3. As for the declarations, it's going to be 3 sheath jewels, 1 counter attack jewel, and 1 chain jewel. Now, like the first build, this build is also going to require a very aggressive playstyle and is only really great for those longer hunts against monsters that hit quite hard, because that's where you're going to get a significant amount of usage out of latent power. Without latent power, this set really starts to fall behind the first build, so just keep that in mind. I'd personally only recommend this against Zoshia, Arc-Tempered Rey, and maybe some of the other 8-star tempereds if those are taking a while for you. We of course also have to talk about the weapons themselves, and by now pretty much everyone knows that the best weapon to use is always an Ardian weapon with 4 attack increases and 1 sharpness increase. Capcom seems to really want Ardian to remain meta, and that's not really going to be changing in Title Update 2. However, if you don't have a perfect Ardian and don't want to mess around with the Ardian weapons, then your other option is going to be Zoshia's Longsword, which is only a bit weaker than a perfect Ardian. Regarding the new Seregios and Lagiacrus weapons that people are curious about, The Seregios longsword is a bit worse than the Zoshia longsword due to its horrible sharpness, and not even its fancy sharpness and insane affinity can make up for that, so I don't recommend using it. Taking a look at the lagiacrus longsword though, it's actually pretty good, and in some cases can actually even outperform a perfect Ardian against something that is very weak to thunder. But that's kind of its whole thing. Unless you're fighting something that is very weak to thunder, you're going to be better off just using your Ardian or even Zoshia longswords. So I don't see people choosing to use it too much, but it's definitely still usable. And of course, if you're curious about the weapon decorations, nothing's really changing here either, even though the sets have a bit lower affinity. You just want to throw in your critical boost alongside your razor sharp. These things don't really change. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like and consider checking out this video next.